If you paid attention or saw my last video a couple nights ago, I had very strong indications that they are, I don't even know if back is the right word, but they've started interacting with me again. It's like 7 months of them not doing much of anything super obvious. My wife had a couple things happen. I'm not going to go through all that again, but basically I haven't experienced much of anything for like 7 months. Finally, a couple nights ago, got some rock throws and some movement and beating on the trash can. Super excited. And then last night, how do I explain this? It's like a year's worth, maybe a little less. The past year's worth of research has like all came together in one night. I document everything, and what I'm trying to figure out is patterns, repeatable patterns, pattern recognition. Obviously, I can't say 100% when these things are around unless I see them and I can show them to you, right? I'm always very open about that. But there are things that happen when they are around that repeat over and over again. The rock throwing is one of the most obvious things. Last year, I got 3 nights of really good vocals, and on one of those nights, there was, I recorded, it was a rock throw, followed by what sounded like, what I think is a juvenile talking, running off, jumping, and it's like a whole sentence, okay? I've posted that here recently. The same sound, the same vocalization from that juvenile, from that night, is almost exactly what I heard last night. The tone and almost even the vocalization itself is very similar. I'm gonna put the two side by side, but I had that. Then here recently, the past couple months, I picked up, because I was leaving the parabolic out, and there were nights that, and I imagine to some of you, a lot of times you're probably, hey, not that impressed. I put out a vocal and it sounds like there's some knocking around and a couple of whistles and whatever else. It's extremely important. The little things are just as important as the big stuff, because what I was getting time and time again when I would leave and come back to an area is a whistle of sorts that I have heard over the years, and until now, or till recently, did not realize it was them. And the sound sounds like a high-pitched whistle, and I describe it like a smoke detector battery going dead, how it makes that chirp. I had that again last night, and I had a rock throw last night. So, very active night. The dog was pretty much, after the first incident, the first vocal, my dog was pretty much patrolling all night long. I think they were here for several hours. And I believe from when the time the activity started until the last thing I recorded, which is the rock throw, a couple hours had passed. So they had stayed around in the area. It seemed like on all different sides, going by how my dog was acting, for a couple hours last night. And still, even throughout that couple of hours, this is why this is so hard. There was only a couple super obvious things, but they were in the area for a long time. You've got to have a lot of patience to do this, and this is why I document everything. To me, for my own personal research, very successful night last night. I'm super happy. So how this starts out is nothing has happened. I go to the chicken coop and I close the gate, right? As I'm doing that, I hear something. I'm not exactly sure what I heard. The dog heard it too and starts barking. I get the gate closed, and then I walk over to the area where I heard the sound, the vocalization, and where my dog went to. And I get over there and I hear moving around. Now, what I didn't realize was how good that vocal was, that it sounds almost exactly like the vocalization from last year, where I think it's the juvenile running and jumping. So we'll start with just that video. I'll play the full video and then go back and not only isolate the vocalization itself, but play that vocalization and then play the one from last year. You should already be able to tell how similar they are to one another, but just in case, I'm going to play the one from last night and then the one from last year. One from last night, one from last year. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Very, very similar. Now keep in mind, I didn't realize what I'd captured. I knew I heard something. I knew there was something moving around. I didn't realize how good it was till I got everything downloaded this morning. If you'll notice, I forgot to mention, I'm using my Blackview night vision phone. Because I don't have any stabilization for this phone as of right now, the videos are going to be kind of shaky, but I did put them in a program to stabilize them. Now, after the vocalization, I walk over there, I hear them moving around, nothing much else happens. I go to turn around and leave. Right when I go to turn around and leave and walk away, there's the whistle. The whistle happens, and I'm like, I take a few more steps and then I turn around. So you'll be able to, you can actually, if you pay attention, you can actually hear the whistle, the high-pitched whistle noise, which is the same one that I figured out over the past year that they're using. Right after I turn around, I think I take a couple steps and then you hear that whistle. And I will isolate, enhance, and loop that also. Now, because of how active everything was, I stayed outside for hours last night, sitting on my porch, and then every time the dog would react to something, I'd get up and walk around. Sometimes I would just sit and wait. Well, at one point, I'd been sitting on the front porch for a little bit. I had the phone sitting up on my railing facing out across my yard. The dog walked over there, did a couple barks, walking around. She was kind of acting like she wasn't exactly sure where things were coming from, so I waited. She walks back. I get up, and then I get the phone and I walk back out into the yard. Now, this is the only part I'm not super sure about. When I start walking towards the front of my yard, you know, it's split. My front yard's split. There's a smaller section closer to the house that's lower, and then I walk up a few steps and I get to the higher part of the yard, the higher plateau. Well, when I'm walking, you'll notice to the left of a stump that's right in front of me, there is what appears to be eyeshine. Now, when I keep walking and go up the steps right there, you'll see there's two definite lights that are much higher up, and you can tell that they are lights. You can tell that when I move the camera or the phone, that they stay the same distance apart. It's very obvious that they're lights. But the first one I see, keep in mind, I'm lower when I see it, and it's lower, and it definitely looks like there's movement. And then when I get up on the second level, there's two higher lights. So I don't think what you're seeing at the beginning when I'm walking towards the stump, I don't think it's those lights. I think it's eyeshine. Now, I don't know exactly what it was. Obviously, we can only speculate. But it kind of looks like eyeshine to me, judging by the fact that there was no lights there on that level afterwards and the movement. So take a look at that.
All right, now I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because there's no way to know, but show you what I'm talking about. See that right there? To the left of the stump. And it looks like it starts up higher and then goes lower. And that movement right there. And then when I keep going and get up to the top area, you see the obvious lights right there. And that's up much higher. And you see the second one.
Last but not least, after I walk up to that higher level of the yard, I look around, then I come back down, and then I walk towards the area where I had the rock throw the other night. And when I get very close to where I was standing the other night, there is a very obvious rock throw again.